Everybody coming. So got a couple Daves on there. Andrew, how you doing there, my friend? Cassidy, thanks for joining us tonight. Eric, Mr. Ross, you're always a regular, and I appreciate it. So you guys were right at 7 o'clock on the dot. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. My name is Joe Gehring. I'm the Vice President of Recruiting here at Anderson Trucking Service. This is our ATS Live Ask Us Anything. I don't remember what series this is, but all I know is we've been doing these nonstop every Wednesday or at least once a week since March. Very, very good feedback. The last probably month of drivers coming to class, over half of the drivers have watched this, so that makes us feel like there's value to these. And what I'll say is that the more that you guys are throwing some questions out there that are those questions that you think that not only you as active drivers, but if you're a prospect driver looking at ATS as a possible option, there's not a forum that's better for us to just have a straight talk, because it's out there, it's out on video. You can go ahead and throw it back on us if this is what you said. My friend and I are looking forward to joining ATS around November. Andrew, love to hear it. Mike, good to see you. Mr. Fox, good to see you. Rachel, good to see you. So I'm going to try to keep up. Now, once the conversation gets started, do understand that I'm always going to come back to the messages that are coming in. So today's series is everything safety. And I've got a fantastic guest by the name of Kelly. She's our safety manager, compliance manager for ATS. And I'm going to go ahead and frame this really quick. But Kelly, thanks for joining us tonight for this.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
One thing that we're excited about, that I can personally say that I'm excited about, is I think that almost every trucking company that is out there, there's always a friction between the recruiting department trying to push exceptions through and the safety department trying to adhere to the guidelines that the organization put forth as saying, this is the definition of the drivers we're looking for. And I don't know that we've had a better I don't think you could get a better relationship than what our recruiting department, our safety department, our compliance department, and our operations department have, because it's very transparent, no different than what we try to do during these ATS live sessions. And frankly, at the end of the day, safety is everything about stepping back and saying, what's right for us, what's right for the driver, and are we going to believe the data that supports some of the decisions we make, right, Kelly?
Right, exactly.
So, Kelly, welcome, as I said.
Thank you.
Always want to yell out and say thanks for our active drivers that join and participate with this. It's always great to have that reinforcement. Sometimes you might have a couple of things that contradict with us, and that's absolutely fine with me. But if you're a driver that's not been part of the Anderson family and we're somebody that you're looking at joining, we do these events for you guys, and that's why we do this on a public forum, and we call it Ask Us Anything. So I really do like those challenging questions. So James, you're back on. Mike, this is my first week out with the company. I have enjoyed it. Those, I got to call those out, right? So Kermit, good to see you.
Hi, Kermit.
So Kermit is a 30-plus year veteran with us, and I've had a lot of good times with you, Kermit. So let's get started here. So Kelly, we're talking everything compliance, everything safety.
Yes.
So we've got I'm just going to tell you what the topics are. We're going to talk about ELDs tonight. We're going to talk about physicals, self-certifications, your carrying of your medical card with you when that's all done. We're going to talk about hours of service. We're going to talk about personal conveyance. We're going to talk about, I think, some of the biggest topics these days is why do you guys govern your trucks at the speed that you govern them at? And then a pretty standard one is why are there so many inconsistencies with carriers to where one company might allow X amount of accidents and preventable accidents and moving violations, and why do we seem like we're so strict? So those are the 6 topics we're planning on talking about. Folks, we try to keep this to 30 minutes, and so we will always be responsive to the questions coming up, just for the record. And so there'll be a couple of times you see me get a little bit distracted and going up to make sure we haven't missed anything. But we're going to keep this discussion going. We got a jam-packed session going. So Kelly, again, welcome. Let's talk a little bit about ELDs.
ELDs, everyone's friend. Everyone needs one, and I think that we have a pretty good platform for ELDs. We are with Omnitrax as our vendor. We are actually transitioning all units to the Omni One tablet. It's just a very small portable tablet. You can take it out of the truck. You can take it into a truck stop with you. You'll receive your messages on there. You do all your logging on there. It actually works really well. So we are in the process of transitioning everyone over to the Omni Ones right now, and it's going pretty well.
And you know, ELDs, we hear a lot of negatives on ELDs, right?
We do, yes.
But, and one thing again, and you probably know the stats better, but when it became mandated that everybody would go to the electric log versus paper logs, what year was it that we were 100% compliant already?
Oh,
I think it was like 2009.
19? Oh, for the ELDs.
Right.
Yes, we switched over to ELDs. I believe it was in 19. But yes, started on the electronic logging. I believe you're correct, around 2009.
Almost 10 years before it was required.
Yes.
And you know what? That's one of the things that I'm proud of with our organization, because we'd rather take the lead.
Yes.
Versus being the ones who are following because we have to. So what tends to be the number one complaint with ELDs, and how do you respond to the number one complaint?
I think the biggest complaint at the beginning was the 5 mile an hour limit, where it puts you on drive at 5 miles an hour. Unfortunately, that's an FMCSA rule, so there's not a whole lot that we can do about it. But I think that was probably the biggest complaint that we heard.
So what's the big advantage of why we're moving from the current Omnitrax, some people refer to it as Qualcomm,
Yep.
to the new tablet? What was the driving decision behind that, and what value does that bring to the driver?
I think it brings a lot of value to the driver, actually. The reason that we're transitioning, some of the older tablets are no longer going to be supported by Omnitrax. A lot of them were on an older 3G system, and they needed to be upgraded. So we made the decision to move to the tablet. I think some of the benefits of the tablet, they're completely portable. Like I said earlier, you can take it with you. You can take it into a truck stop, be able to check messages while you're having a cup of coffee if you want. So they're very portable and friendly, and I feel they're pretty user friendly. I think that they're a lot easier to navigate than the older units.
Well, I'm seeing that James has got a comment out there saying he'd rather do the ELDs because he doesn't have to do the math. So right on. That's the part that we love to see.
And it's amazing how many drivers switch to paper if the older unit goes down and they have to go on paper and they don't remember how to do paper anymore. They're just so used to the ELDs. So I see a question from Andrew about personal conveyance, and that is one of our topics that we were going to talk about tonight. So I guess we can switch to that.
Yeah. So group, I'm going to just beg you, if you've got questions. So I kind of covered the 6 main areas that we're going to talk about today, and I know some people are joining a little bit later. You might be watching this after the live session is over. Let me reiterate: we are always tracking the questions, so 100% of the questions. The navigation on it. All I can tell you is that our goal
be installed, but yes. The tablets, one nice thing about the tablets, we have
I don't know if there's a way for you to be able to tell that. You guys, we definitely need to hear that when that happens. That's why my big technician is, I'm being told that the camera switched to one on your right and no sound.
It should come back on here in a minute.
Okay, so I'm being told no audio. You guys, tell me when audio is
Oh,
back.
it's back.
Okay, we're back, Robbie? All right, Samantha, we're back. Awesome. So, talking about technology, right, you guys? There are pros and cons to it all. So, you guys appreciate speaking out right away to let me know that we had a little technical problem here. So, okay, let's jump into PC then.
Yes, let's go
So-
to personal conveyance.
But for ELDs, you guys, any other questions that come up, throw them up there. We can always bounce back to it. But with having 6 topics and only 30 minutes to do it in, let's jump right to PC. So,
Absolutely.
big talk of the world.
It is.
I think every one of my I can't read the comments. Side camera with no sound. People are starting to laugh at us.
We should be back.
Is there any way ATS as a customer can go out to provider?
David, I will answer your question. Oh, now video and no sound.
Sean, we have sound.
Okay, sound is back on.
Okay, we're doing our best, you guys. We hate it when this happens, so
No more touching.
let's just do this. We're gonna try to keep on rolling here. So, David, you had a question. Did you want to
Yes.
address that?
Is there any way ATS as a customer can go to the provider of the tablet and ask for the 8-day layout like the old style? We have asked for that. They are working on that. I don't have a timeline, unfortunately, but I do know that they are working on that to be able to provide us with that 8 days. So you can look back by scrolling through on your graph, but it's not the most convenient way to do it. So yes, they are definitely working on that, and hopefully they will have that put together soon so that we can get that out to everyone. We definitely take all issues that we find or different things with the tablets. So if you have any other input, let me know. We take it straight to Omnitrax and ask if they can do it. So we do a lot of communicating with Omnitrax, such as the split sleeper. I don't care for the way that it is done on the tablet. We're hoping that they can provide us with the recap similar to the older units. I know they're working on it. It should be coming out relatively soon, but that's something I have asked almost weekly since the start. We would really like to see that the way it was with the old one. So definitely let me know if you have any other comments, and I will take it to Omnitrax and see what we can do.
So, can I ask what typically is the biggest disconnect on interpretation of what PC is?
Personal conveyance. I think the biggest misconception with personal conveyance is that it's an actual regulation, and it's not. It is guidance. If you look, it's 395.8 question 26. So it's not even in the actual regulation. It's a question, and it's just guidance. So basically what the FMCSA says is, this is what we think. Now, company, decide how you want to interpret that. And while you're making that interpretation, figure out how each officer on the road is going to interpret it also, so that you don't have any issues when you're stopped for an inspection. So at ATS, we have met multiple times when we created the PC policy, just to make sure that we're interpreting it the way that we feel an officer would interpret it and the way that the FMCSA intended it to be interpreted. So our policy, you can use it for personal reasons. We give an hour a day of personal conveyance use. I think it's a pretty fair policy. We do require that you have a legal break because that is noted in the guidance that drivers do need to have time for their legal break. So we do require that. But other than that, it is available for use. It's right on your tablet, very easy to get into. So you definitely can use PC. We do have the policy on our driver app. We also have a frequently asked questions page because we do get a lot of questions. So we put together an FAQ hoping to answer some of your questions so that you can just take a look at that also.
Good. So by the way, folks, we had a little bit of technical difficulty. Can I just get a couple of you to give me a thumbs up or something so I just know that everything for sure is back on track? Because we got some great stuff we're covering here. So just, I don't need everybody to, but if I could get a couple of folks to just give me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it while we move on. So if you have any additional questions on personal conveyance, thank you, Robbie, appreciate that. So we covered ELDs, we've covered personal conveyance. Let's talk a little bit about hours of service.
Yes, hours of service, we obviously follow all the FMCSA regulations. We actually do have 3 e-log auditors in the office Monday through Friday, working through everything with the drivers. They're actually very knowledgeable. They're very friendly. They're there to help. So if you ever have a question or anything that you need, feel free to call in and talk to e-logs. That's what they're there for. I see a couple questions are coming through.
Yeah, this is a good one. So they're asking, so if we park our trailer and then we take our tractor home, can that be logged as PC?
That one, no, actually, per FMCSA, they consider driving home continuation of the trip. And so they do expect that to be on the driveline. There is an FMCSA FAQ online. If you want to check it out, if you just Google FMCSA PC FAQ, you'll be able to see it. I know that is one of the first questions on there, and their responses on there also.
So, Andrew, you got a question here. It says, is Omnitrax integrated with the HES driver app and to show hours of service and recaps? Also not sure if it's scrolling up here, misread, an hour is good, but I thought FMCSA didn't allow a company to limit PC use time. So, you guys...
Right. They do not allow companies to change the log to drive. If you remember back in the old days, once you hit the limit for PC, it would automatically put you on the drive line. They do not allow that anymore, but they do allow us to set a time limit on it or miles. They allow either. Personal conveyance, like I said, it's strictly guidance, so that is just our interpretation. We feel that an hour is sufficient and fair to get around town and get groceries or go to eat or whatever you need to do and get back to where you're parked. So that, I think, is why we have an hour. But you're correct. There is not an official limit per FMCSA, but the company policy. So with ours, when you do hit that hour, you'll receive a notification that you have met the company threshold, and then we just ask that you switch back to drive or get stopped.
Good. And by the way, hey, so Nick, I see your question. How you doing, buddy? Good to talk with you last week. And so really quick, it's part of the recording earlier, but Kelly, could you just kind of do a quick elevator recap of PC for Nick?
Yep, Nick, PC, we do allow PC for personal reasons. We do request that it's local use only, and we allow an hour each day of personal conveyance use. We do also require that you have time on your clocks because FMCSA they actually do on their FAQ have a question, can I use it if I'm out of hours? And they say, no, you cannot. So we do request that you have hours available before you use PC.
Good. So Perry, how you doing? Dominique, good to see you. And James, I'm glad you like what you're hearing. So
good.
did we cut off in the middle of hours of service, or did you have a few more things you wanted to talk about there?
No, we were just getting going on hours of service. You know, it's pretty cut and dry. We have to follow the regulations. I was saying we do have 3 log auditors who are in there every day to answer any questions that you have or to help you in any way. So feel free to give us a call if you need anything. Also, we have a ton of information on the driver app, lots of how-tos, the policy, everything is out there. So feel free to check that out also.
So now, again, a reminder, I can't stress this enough. Doesn't matter what we've talked about, we're not here to just preach. We're here to answer your questions. So if you have questions about ELDs, about personal conveyance, about hours of service, if we're answering it all for you, fantastic. But if you've got something specific that you'd like a little bit more clarity, this really is a great format for that. Mm-hmm. But I think we're pretty much caught up on the questions, and so I keep kind of bouncing between looking at this camera and looking at the questions. But let's talk about physicals.
Yes.
And can't you guys tell this is all safety compliance stuff? Because it's all the stuff you guys typically hate recruiting having to cover with you. But these are really important subjects, and they tend to be the top 6 things that we get so many questions about with every new driver that we talk to. So yes. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that.
So physicals, if you are coming in to ATS, you can bring a physical with as long as you have 6 months remaining on the card. We do require that it's self-certified ahead of time if you're bringing it in, so we'll make sure that your MVR matches the physical. If it doesn't, we ask that you do that ahead of time before you get in so that you're good to roll as soon as you're certified. If you're a current driver, you probably know the compliance department quite well. If you're due for your physical, give us a call. We'll set it up for you. We'll help find the clinic. All you have to do is tell us where and when, and we'll take care of it for you. Most states, there are just a couple states that we can't, but most of them will even take care of your self-certification for you and get it sent into the state. There's only, I think, 3 that the driver has to do, but the rest of them, we take care of all that for you.
So what are those states? So
Missouri, Massachusetts, I believe, and Mississippi. Those states are a little harder. Missouri, you have to go in person for some reason. But then the others you can do online, but the driver actually has to do that part. But the rest of the states will take care of it for you. So
that's almost all the time, you guys. But believe it or not, it's always Murphy's Law that we've got that driver or 2 from Missouri or Mississippi. So it's really important for you guys to be hearing what we're saying. So if you live in one of those states, the more you can be proactive, especially if you're looking at making a job change and considering possibly ATS. If there's anything physical related, self-certification related, just understand there's been times that we brought drivers all the way up to St. Cloud or to Porter, Indiana, and have them completely finish orientation, but we can't certify them until they go all the way back home, get with the state, certify. It's frustrating for you. It's really frustrating for us because it's a lot of wasted time and money for both of us. So just being attentive is a pretty important thing. Yeah. So Andrew's asking if we answer the question whether Omnitrax is integrated with the ATS app.
It's not necessarily integrated, but when you have the tablet, it is loaded on the tablet. So there are 3 things loaded on the tablet: Omnitrax Drive, which is where you'll accept your load and take care of the load information, Omnitrax XRS, which is your logging information, and then the ATS driver app will be right on there for you also. It's very convenient. If you need to scan in paperwork or anything, you can do it right from there. So not necessarily integrated, but yes, they are together.
Okay. Hopefully that answers. And James, I appreciate you guys talking amongst yourselves as well, especially our active drivers talking to new drivers or 2 active drivers talking together. That's fantastic. So anything else that we missed on the self?
I don't think so. I think we covered that. That's a pretty easy topic. Once you get here, if you need anything as far as physical or whatever, let us know and we'll take care of it for you. One question, Nick, can we remove the tablet from the truck? Yes, you can. They are mounted because FMCSA requires them to be mounted, but they do come out. So you are able to remove them. You can take them into the truck stop with you. You can take them wherever. So yes, they do come out and they're portable. What about CPAP, National Recall? Mm-hmm. Yep. Give us Andrew, if you are a current driver, give us a call so we can talk about that. I know there is a national recall. Give us a call and we'll talk about it. If you are coming in and you were looking at possibly upgrading your machine, we have a great company that we partner with that supplies machines. They do sleep tests. They take care of all the supplies. So if you're interested in upgrading, let us know also, because we can certainly get you in touch with them.
So folks, really quick on this, I just want to make sure you're clear too. So some things we can't get into too much detail, but one thing is I want to make sure, Samantha, if anybody who's on there wants to throw my email out there, if there's something that we feel is probably more of an individual discussion that's a little bit more personalized, that's not kind of a group discussion, we'll follow back up with you after the live session and kind of take care of those for you. So, and I'm seeing a few more comments about the tablet. So folks, it basically looks like an old-fashioned iPad. So it mounts to the truck, but yes, you can take it out. You can walk in the hallways of ATS. You can take it to your house with you. You want to take it into the truck stop while you're eating dinner. Don't know that the reception is always going to be there,
Right.
But you can take it basically wherever you'd like to if that answers that. So
Yep, absolutely.
go up a little bit further. Did I miss one?
And there's one more down further.
So, okay, well, so I'm going to keep the discussion going because we're already down to about 25 minutes. And like I said, I try to keep this to 30 minutes because after 30 minutes, a lot of drivers were telling me it was getting a little bit too winded. So I'm leaving the best for last. But before we jump into the best for last, you guys know that I love the elephant in the room, I was corrected to say, talking about trucks being governed. And we're
Yes.
going to spend a couple minutes talking about that.
Yeah.
But we did have one piece of information as it relates to compliance as why do so many, why is ATS so hard on the requirements on the number of moving violations and the number of accidents that are preventable, and why do so many people get disqualified when we're getting approved by everybody else that we're applying to? And we've got some pretty strict rules, and if you want to kind of summarize on those two primary ones and why we've got the data to show that's important to us,
Yes.
would you do that?
Accidents and moving violations are big. We strive to have the best drivers in the industry, and we find that limiting the number of accidents and the number of moving violations that come in help to keep us safe and ensure that the drivers that we're bringing in are safe. And yeah.
It's pretty cut and dry.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, there are companies that, when you're going through guidelines, and we're not going to go through that today, every guideline, because we've got 2.5 pages of hiring guidelines. But a lot of things are personal choices, and we pay a lot of attention to basically behaviors. We're paying attention to repeat incidents, and there's a part of us that wants to see, hey, this was a off the cuff one, or there's a pattern here, and this driver seems to have something happen with speed every year. And why didn't he learn the first time? And so, and we'll always sit down and take the time to explain what our guidelines are, but the good thing is we just don't change many of them. So hopefully we covered enough on that. I do see a couple of questions. Adam, you're asking, can we use Wi-Fi from the tablet? I don't think so.
And that I'm not sure on. I don't think that we can. Andrew, you have a question about CPAPs. I will have Joe send you my email address. Send me an email, or you can give me a call and we can talk about that. As far as payment goes, the company will take care of it, and then we do take it out of your paycheck.
Yep. So it's almost like a little bit of financing that
Yeah.
goes on, but so obviously it's going to be your machine, but yeah, we work really hard with you guys for getting that taken care of.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we're kind of getting down to the end. I don't think I've missed anything. By the way, I did want to let you know that I did see, Nick, that you're coming on board, and that not only are you coming back, but you've already got yourself locked into a nice long-term lease. Congratulations. I know that John's been working hard with you to get all that wrapped up, so congratulations on that. So as I'm going to look at the last couple, we are going to talk about our trucks being governed.
Yes.
And why is 65 miles per hour the number? We also have something called two below the flow, right? And
Yep.
that came into play a long time ago. So listen, again, talking about putting the elephant in the room, we have reasons for that, and we back it up, and we're okay that if there's drivers that are simply going to say we're not okay with that we're okay with that. But go ahead.
Yep. So we do govern the trucks at 65. Research has shown 65 has proven to decrease fatalities and severity of crashes, which is something that we're always looking for. Nobody wants to have that terrible crash. Also, 65 allows the motoring public time to get around you and pull away. That way your following distance is better. You're not in the mix with all of the cars speeding. You're staying back and staying safe. So there's also maintenance and fuel is added into that. That's proven to help fuel mileage and also maintenance with less repairs at that speed. But the main thing, I think, is the severity of accidents and the fatalities that can be avoided by setting it at 65.
And folks, you'd be surprised, the numbers skyrocket the minute that you take a truck even from 65 to 67.
It does.
And then you take it to 70 or 75. So listen, Nick, you're throwing something out there about the debate about, independent contractors should be able to cover their trucks higher than a company truck. I disagree. And I say that for a reason. So number one, the company truck belongs to ATS, and if you're leasing, the minute that you have the full title and that truck is yours, you can do whatever you want to. You can govern that truck. So I want to make sure you're clear. If you're a true owner operator and you own that truck outright, you can set the governing up to 70. However, if that truck is an ATS asset or we're financing that until it's paid off, the 65 mile an hour rule just stands. I got Rachel saying, my husband Michael has been with you guys a month and I have no complaints. Bottom line, thank you very much for that. I thought you were going to make a comment real quick about him having his own truck and his governing was set a little bit differently. So you guys, we do have ATS drivers that have passed me on I-94 while I was doing 70. And they're always owner operators. I'm not a fan of it. I'm just sorry, I'm just not a fan. And one of the reasons why I stand behind this, I want to explain it. Our drivers don't need to run 3,000 miles a week to make a paycheck. And we dispatch every load we have at 50 miles an hour. And so if you do your proper planning, we're giving you plenty of time. Every time you put on a load, you've got the time to get there under the speed limit at 50 miles an hour, deliver on time safely, and get to the next load and make just as much money. Typically, the only time that there's a problem is because of poor planning. You guys have heard me talk about that before, and it's nothing personal, but you got to sit down and plan your time. Where you're going to stop, where you're going to fuel, where you're going to get your meals, where you're going to get, where you're going to spend the night. And when some of those steps don't happen, all of a sudden that 3 or 4 hour leeway that you had is now down to 30 minutes, and now you're pushing it to get there on time.
Right.
And that's when you start making bad driving decisions.
And
right?
you start exceeding your hours of service, and yes, it's very, very important to make sure that you're planning ahead. Know where you're stopping. That is huge right now with truck stops being so full, and it's so hard to find parking. Know where you're going so that you can get there with plenty of time, get somewhere to park, and be safe.
Yep. Hey, so what I will tell you real quick, Andrew, we'll get in touch with you. My email is above on the comments, but it's just joe@atsinc.com. I'll get your information forwarded down to Kelly tomorrow morning. Mm-hmm. So if you want to send it to me, that would be great. So basically, everything that's coming back is looking really positive. Folks, we're at 7:33. We don't ever stop these if I've got active questions coming through, but we did get our topics talked about. All I can say is thank you for joining us. It gets me really excited, not only during the lives, but to see the comments and the people that are sending messages to us after the fact. Best thing you can do is if we miss something, send us a note. And even if we didn't cover it tonight, we will get back to you and respond to you in the public forum. We'll respond to you within the comments online here. So just wanted to tell everybody thank you. Again, ATS Live. Ask us anything. We'll be back next Wednesday. I think next Wednesday we've got one of our fleet managers joining us, talking a little bit more about the fleet manager-driver relationship and the important parts of the communication there. And all I can say is thank you very much for joining us. Kelly, wonderful guest. You did a very good job. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So join us next week. Anything else comes up, go to driveforats.com. We got 6 fantastic recruiting consultants that we'll absolutely dive into any of these things for you guys and answer your questions. So everybody have a good night and keep it safe.
Thank you.
And we're turning things off, so you're probably watching me babble for a second. So you guys have